Breaking news right now, the deadly ICE-involved shooting out of Minneapolis. The Minneapolis police chief says a woman was killed after being shot in the head by an ICE agent. Take a look at this video. It is one angle. It shows the moment of the shooting. The police chief says it happened when the woman was approached by federal law enforcement because her car was blocking a road. You see what happens here. They say she was not a target of law enforcement. The woman then tries to drive away, but it appears there was an agent directly in front of her. From the video, it looks like at least 2 shots were fired by that agent. The police chief confirming at least 2 shots were fired. The woman's vehicle then crashes and she was pronounced dead at the hospital. Officials did not reveal the woman's identity, but authorities said she was middle-aged and white. This is the video. Once again, you can see agents approaching her, an agent in front of the car, that agent appearing to fire. According to this angle, just one of a couple of different videos we're looking at right now. The Department of Homeland Security saying in a statement, quote, "Today, ICE officers in Minneapolis were conducting targeted operations when rioters began blocking ICE officers, and one of these violent rioters weaponized her vehicle, attempting to run over our law enforcement officers in an attempt to kill them, an act of domestic terrorism." Again, that's coming from the federal government. An ICE officer, fearing for his life, the lives of his fellow law enforcement, and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots. The alleged perpetrator was hit and is deceased. Thankfully, the ICE officers who were hurt are expected to make full recoveries. City officials holding a news conference in the last hour with the Minneapolis mayor, Jacob Frey, sending a strong message to ICE, telling them to leave Minneapolis now. Take a listen.
To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite. People are being hurt. Families are being ripped apart. Long-term Minneapolis residents that have contributed so greatly to our city, to our culture, to our economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead. That's on you.
At the same time, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem addressed the shooting at a separate news conference near the border in Texas, calling it an act of domestic terrorism. Let's take a listen.
So a couple of questions there. You asked about a shooting that we just had in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him. And my understanding is that she was hit and is deceased.
Want to be very clear here. So far from the videos that we have seen, and we will keep showing them here, that is not exactly what has happened from the videos that we have seen. From the videos that we're seeing here, ICE agents approach a vehicle that is blocking them. The woman reverses. There is an ICE agent clearly in her direction, and it appears that ICE agent fires at least 2 shots at the woman, killing her. Again, the woman sped off. She was in the line of sight directly in front of that ICE agent. She did not stop her car. The ICE agent fired. She crashes her vehicle. Again, there are several different angles of this incident right now. We are looking at all of them, and we're giving you all the information we have at this hour. I do want to bring in NBC News senior Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley. Julia, this just speaks to sort of the heightened level of intensity that is happening there in Minneapolis. We know that since at least December, according to NBC News, 1,400 people have been arrested in these ICE operations. What was happening today? Do we know in that area before this happened?
Well, they had targeted this area, again, for more ICE operations to build on that 1,400. So many of the arrests have been made just since Sunday, when ICE sent over 2,000 agents to Minneapolis area. And today was the day Border Patrol also started an increased presence in operations in Minneapolis. So tensions, Tom, were already high before this incident took place. And of course, it comes after the Trump administration has fired back at Governor Tim Walz. In that statement from the Department of Homeland Security about this incident, they blame Walz and the city's sanctuary policies for incidents like these. But as you can see very clearly in this video, Tom, it does not appear that this person sought out these officers. They they are coming to her car. As she goes into reverse, we see, of course, from the back of the car, so it's not clear if the officer at the hood of the car could have thought that he was moving closer to her before she attempted to turn her wheel. But I've been speaking to senior DHS officials who are familiar with ICE's training, and the way they train federal officers really across the government is that they are only supposed to use their weapons and fire at a person if there's an immediate threat of injury or death. And so typically an incident like this would be investigated to determine if the officer used his or her weapon because the bar had reached that height. Instead, what we're seeing today is very quick dissemination of information, both from DHS in terms of statements and from Secretary Kristi Noem, quick to say this was an act of domestic terrorism and that it builds on what they say is an increase in threats and assaults on ICE officers, only ratcheting up the tension further between federal law enforcement and city leaders in Minneapolis and Minnesota.
Yeah, Julia, we've covered a lot of these cases where someone is in a car and the car is approaching a police officer in that manner, whether at a high speed. We'll learn more exactly how fast they were going, and the car is considered a lethal weapon. Courts have upheld that. In this case, it appears, again, from this video, she is clearly moving forward. There is an ICE agent in front of her. It is for experts, and I'm sure at some point maybe even a court of law to look at this and say, was the ICE agent in the right? Was his life threatened? Was this driver in the wrong in not stopping, not surrendering when they were trying to get into her car and try to open her door? I do want to bring in Jim Cavanaugh right now. He is a retired ATF special agent. He's one of our NBC News analysts. Jim, we are seeing one angle. There's another angle out there as well. But from what you can see in this video, what exactly happened here? And I know it is very, very early and maybe even too early to sort of ask the question of who was right and who was wrong. But what are you seeing here with your eyes?
Well, we're seeing a person who was, being stopped in the street. Her vehicle's across the street, and ICE agents are trying to talk to her. There's an agent right next to the driver's window, Tom, trying to talk to her, and she accelerates to escape, apparently. We don't know her exact motivation, but to leave, to not comply with the officer's demands. There's another ICE agent, though, in front of the SUV. And what it will hinge on is the officer's belief, who fired the shots, the one who's in front, that he believed he was under imminent threat of death or great bodily harm by being struck by the vehicle. Now, I think what's critical in the case is going to be the angle of shot. For example, if the shots are through the side driver's window, the side window, then, that's not really justifiable use of force because the car is passing you. But if they're from the front, and from some of the bullet hole photographs I've looked at online, there appears to be one through the windshield, the front of the windshield, just directly on the driver's side fender, and a couple more that may be bullet holes right below that in the body. And they said the officer fired 3 times. This puts him more directly in the path of the vehicle. He has a millisecond to decide if he's going to be run over or not.
And then, Jim, I guess the critical question is, Jim, the critical question is, what is most law enforcement training if that vehicle indeed was in front of him and heading towards him?
No, you use deadly force because you don't want to be run over. So you're justified to use deadly force to stop the action from running you over or hitting you. Even if you're hit with the headlight or the front fender, you can be seriously injured. Now, that's not to say it was justified. We don't know exactly, Tom, because the body-worn cameras of the ICE agents have to be analyzed. The statements of the agent, and especially the agent who fired his weapon, has to be analyzed. The witness videos have to be looked at. There has to be measurements. Everything has to be looked at carefully. But if it's reasonable that he thought he was going to be run over and he's being assaulted and maybe run over, he can use deadly force. Tom, a lot of times people say, he didn't think he was going to be run over. But when you're the person that's going to be run over,
right,
it's a millisecond.
It is still very early, and tensions are still very high there in Minneapolis. And I'm sure we're going to learn much more in the minutes and hours ahead as we continue to cover this throughout the day here. We're going to stay on top of this. This is going to conclude this NBC News special report right now. We're going to have much more ahead on NBC News Now, online at NBCnews.com, and a full wrap-up tonight on NBC Nightly News. We will come back on the air when events warrant it. I'm Tom Llamas. We thank you for watching it. We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.